Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We've got Coach Rhoades for the next 20 minutes. Coach, if you want to start with an opening statement, then we'll take questions. As always, hit the raise your hand button if you have a question.
Sure. Thanks, Chelsea. Just really, really excited to get going here. Regular season. We've been working really hard. I like this group. We're just really young, so there's going to be a lot of learning on the go. But I do feel that we have some good pieces. We have some guys that are learning, like I said, on the fly, and it's not for the lack of effort. It's not for the lack of approach, and we just got to uh, continue to get better and better. So it's been a fun summer and a fun preseason with these guys. I really appreciate how they've handled themselves and how they've approached it. It's Now it's go time. It's real time come Monday night.
Daniel and then John.
Hey Mike, how are you this morning?
All right, Daniel, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Um, where are you health-wise going into the season, and do you anticipate having everyone available Monday night?
Yeah, I knew that would be your first question, Daniel. For a little bit of time, we had a little bit of a mash unit there. I said that to the guys; they had no clue what I was talking about. Um, but we just a couple minor a couple, tweaked ankles, sprained ankles, kept them out for a couple days. Mace had a back issue, missed a good week of practice. I would hope that we have everybody for Monday. Guys are working really hard. The one thing about this group, they've done a really good job in preseason of taking care of their bodies and doing all the extra stuff if they are out, Daniel. It's just, it's preseason. Some years you have major injuries that guys are out. You have some minor injuries that keep them out for a little bit of time, and sometimes you get lucky and you don't have much. So we were good for a while. Then we've had a little bit of a rash of injuries, more sprained ankles, stepping on guys' feet, basketball injuries. We just gotta handle our business and go from there. So I'm hoping, Daniel, that we'll have everybody good to go on Monday.
John and then Mason.
Mike, you mentioned those guys that kind of roll their ankles. Melly being one of those guys. What do you anticipate his role being when he gets back? And specifically on offense, how much do you want him to drive offense, and how much do you want him to operate off the ball this year?
He and Caden, they're both dynamic guards, even though they're freshmen, where they can pass, dribble, and shoot at a high level, John, even though they're freshmen. So, we want those two guys to be in the mix of being aggressive all the time, without a doubt. And then, and Freddie's that way too, and Freddie has a year under his belt, so that really helps him. And then the way Dom and Eli could shoot the basketball playing off of those guys, it gives us some different opportunities to put some different lineups out there. But for Melly, he came down on a guy's foot the first day of practice, and he was out for a period of time. Probably could have played this past weekend, but we wanted to make sure we were right and get him close to as 100 as we can. But he's just a basketball player, so he's got to be out there and he's got to make plays. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains, John, with these freshmen, but also that you're going to see some ability from these guys right off the jump.
Mason and then Will.
Morning, coach. I hope you're staying dry on kind of this dreary day in State College.
It was a wet one this morning. The worst thing you can do is take dogs out for a walk in the rain today. I almost lost them.
Well, I don't envy you in that regard, coach. But I do want to kind of ask about your third season leading the program. Being a high major coach has a lot of weight to it. Your first season was very promising. Your second season went, south for a number of reasons. But as the head coach of the Nittany Lion program, how are you kind of defining, success leading this program?
Well, for it's building it the right way, number one. So some programs you can make it a quick fix because you can buy everybody and go from there. We're just not doing that. And so it's how we approach everything and build on that. And like I said, I think I said it earlier in the fall, like when you build a program, it never goes the way you want, but it keeps going. And so I've always said, getting to a point of success, right? It's like this. It's up and down all the time. It's peaks and valleys, and you got to weather the storm. You got to, sort of. I like to say is you got to ride that wave. We've had pockets of success. We've had some really good moments that raise the standard and what's the possibility, but it's not consistent enough in my mind in all facets of our program. And you wish, man, Mason, I wish I could have made it happen overnight, but I knew that when I signed up for it. I knew what I signed up for. And the way the landscape of college athletics changed in my first 6 months on the job, has, makes you have a lot of detours. It is what it is. So, you're not getting one excuse out of me. I'm not letting our guys make one excuse. We got to find a way. We got to keep pushing. Our first year, trying to figure out how to play the right way, and that we got some going. We had some success in the Big Ten, and people saw that. Our players felt it. The second year, we got off to a great start, and then we had some injuries. No excuses, though, and we didn't have enough talented depth to to be able to sustain winning and sustain success and push through those valleys. And it's something we just continue to work on all the time. And there's some things out of your control in the recruiting world and in the landscape that we're out of. Well, all right, this is what the situation we have. All right, let's figure it out and let's go. So um, the hardest thing now in college athletics is balancing all of this because you have a lot of variables that are out of your control and what others are doing that you're trying to compete against. But if you worry so much about that, you're not giving your players everything you got. And to me, our staff, it's about Dom, it's about Freddie, it's about Eli, it's about Sasha and Tibor. Like, how can we move these guys forward as young men and as basketball players to try to get to where they and where we all want to go?
Will and then Nate.
Hey Mike, thanks for the time.
All right, Will, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
All right.
Ivan Yurick had averaged 7.5 points and 7.5 rebounds across those two exhibition games. How have you seen him develop this offseason, preseason, and what have you liked out of him so far?
Yeah, man, I love the kid. He works real hard. He's super coachable. He's so into it, Will. For a freshman, and his approach is is beyond his years a little bit, right? He has a really good feel of basketball. You can tell he grew up playing against older players and older guys, the way he learned how to play basketball. Just a great feel without the ball, and with the ball. But he's also only 19 years old in the Big Ten. So he's going to have some good days that you guys are all going to be really excited writing about him. And then he's going to have some days where, he's a freshman and that's how it goes. Him and Big B have really hit it off, and they're working really hard together. I think that's been great. The thing I love about Yvonne, he's a rebounding big guy. He could really move. He could step away from the basket with that versatility that we like. He'll make threes for us this year. But he keeps like he cares about doing it right by the coaches, and I think that's really helped him all preseason. So I think you're going to see him have some double doubles as a freshman this year against great competition because he's capable of doing that. But there's just a learning curve for him, Will, and we got to help him through it.
Nate and his special guest.
Yeah. Mike, obviously it's a limited sample size for Eli's shot volume from three, but how much do you anticipate that carrying forward? And also how much of it is getting him kind of going at
Yeah,
this?
he's got a Nate, that's a great question with him and something I talk to him about all the time. You got to find ways to get yourself open in the course of the game, in transition, on an offensive rebound. Don't stand there and watch your teammates get the rebound. Relocate so we could spray it to him and he could hit a three. On a broken play, finding the window. So there's extra threes for him there, and he's probably going to make a couple of them. And then our teammates. The one thing when you play with a shooter, you want an assist too. So you throw it to the shooter. So our guys are learning that. Wait a minute, when you see him in a window and he's open, you got to get him the ball because that's an assist too. And so we got to hunt them for him as well. And then in our actions and running stuff, we got to get him some looks. But even if we don't always get him looks, Joe and I use the word gravity. He creates a level of gravity on the defense that you can't leave him, or you're not in the perfect help position because you're so worried about that guy that can catch it every time and make a three and consecutive threes. it creates more space for everybody else. I think that's really important as well. And the big thing about Eli is, he didn't play a lot. He didn't play at all last year, and he was sat out a lot where he didn't practice. So he not that he's a freshman because he's very knowledgeable and he's been very, very coachable since he's been here, but there's a learning curve for him as well, just gaining more experience. You saw the other day what he is capable of making shots. When he's open, I want him to let it fly. I just tell him, be ready to shoot it every time.
Ryan and then Rocco.
Hey, Coach Rhoades, can you hear me?
I say, how you doing? Well,
Good, man. Hey, I saw that Fairfield gave VCU a run for their money. I mean, I know it's an exhibition game, but I thought I was pretty impressed with that. Can you give like an overall take on how you see Fairfield and maybe some of their players?
yeah, yeah. Look, they're a very good team, well coached. They play a very aggressive style, which is what we need to play against in this non-conference with a young team to prepare us for Big Ten play. But also, you got to be worried because those guys are plenty good enough to come in here and beat us. And that it's the part of scheduling, Ryan, that you want to schedule games that you get off to a good start, but you also got to schedule games too when you have a young team to make you better. But I watched that game, and well, I mean, I heard about the game, but I've watched their games from last year, and the thing that I've really noticed is they're really aggressive, they're very physical, they really crash the glass. We got to turn this young team we have into a very good rebounding team and build on that because if you don't rebound in the Big Ten, you get killed. And so, it's all our games this non-conference are going to be battles, but this is the only way we're going to get this young team ready to go for as we move into conference play.
Thank you.
You bet.
Rocco and then Daniel.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? Sorry, I'm walking through the rain right out of class.
All
Just
right,
wondering,
Rocco, that's great. One thing I learned at State College: when it rains or snows, not everybody goes to class. So I'm proud of you.
I'm sticking to it. Got to stick to it.
Not a boy.
Sticking with Fairfield, just overall keys for you guys going into that game. Any specific players as well on Fairfield that you're looking at that could be a difference maker?
Yeah, honestly, Rocco, I'm going to talk about my guys, right? Number one is we got to rebound against them. They're a very good rebounding team. Number two, we can't turn the ball over. Having a young team, you got to establish basketball toughness. We got to really do a good job of not turning the ball over. At Dayton, we turned it over. That game exposed that. That was great. That's what we needed to do. We didn't turn it over as much the first half as Ship, and we got great shots and we scored points. So those two things are the most important thing against Fairfield. And those are two things Fairfield wants to gain advantage. They went out and tried to out rebound you and try to really turn you over and really mess up your plan of attack on offense. So those two things are the biggest thing. And we have some guys coming back. We got to make sure that we have the right lineups out there. Even though a lot of times we're going to have 3 and 4 freshmen out there, we just got to make sure we put the right guys out there to help our guys get off to a good start.
Daniel, then John.
Mike, you've got an 80-minute sample size now, for this team in game action. What have you learned? What have been some of the lessons that you got out of those 2 exhibition games?
Yeah, well, defensively is not good enough, not to where I want it to be. In the full court and a half court, but I also know, and I've done this for a while now, so that's what happens when you have young guys and you have multiple first year players out there, not just freshmen, but first year players, Daniel. So, you just got to keep building on it. That's why you gotta build a level of your foundational defensive approach and just keep getting better and better at that. As I say, you got to sharpen your sword every day to get better and better at that. So, I didn't think we sustained our defense in either exhibition game well enough to go win games at a high level. That's a huge emphasis as we continue to move forward with this young group. We just got to get better defensively. One thing that will help us defensively is being able to. We don't have a shot blocker like Yannick, so we have to really have 5 guys guarding at the same time together, and then that's got to lead to good defensive rebounding. The offensive end, Daniel, is just continue to learn how we play best with different guys out there. That comes with time, but also making sure, when you're a young team, if you could really take care of the ball, that could get you, that could really help you. And I think we got to really do a good job taking care of the basketball.
John and then Brennan.
I don't know why Nate didn't let the better Bauer ask the question there, but I digress. Uh, Mike, you talk about the youth of this team. Do you think you're going to need to rely on depth more this year, and how deep do you want to go when it comes to your rotation?
Yeah, well, John, we're gonna play. We're gonna go 10 deep. That's where I want to get ideally all the time, and so we could fly around and all that. We have to. I think we'll have different lineups, and I think we could play some different. I think we could play small at times. I think we could play big at times. I think we could play with some versatility. We're just gonna be young. Like, I mean, you guys have heard me say it, and I'm not using it as an excuse. It is what it is, man. And but it's been fun too because we've had some great growth, and we're gonna have growth throughout the year. And I think you're gonna see us on a night that you're gonna talk very highly of us, and you're gonna also talk about us. Hey, we ain't ready. Uh, but I really like the pieces we have. But we have to play with a lot of guys. We have to fly around. We got to play differently at times just because of who we are right now. But also as a coach and a coaching staff, that's been a lot of fun too.
Brennan.
Mike, what stood out to you about the team, especially with them being so young, after the loss for Dayton practice that week, and then they were able to rebound against Shippensburg? What kind of
Yeah,
stood
well, we
out to you
should,
about
right?
the mentality
We should rebound against Shippensburg. But that's a great question. Those guys are really disappointed in how we played at Dayton. We had some good moments, but not enough consistent play or consistent style of play the Penn State way, the way we want to play. But I also knew that. I knew that was going to happen, and they didn't think that. They thought they were going to play a perfect game. But that's one reason why we signed up for that game to go play one of Coach Grant's teams. I knew they were going to expose us and blow things up and stuff like that, which was great, and that's what I was looking forward to. So. Um, that's why you play some really good teams in exhibition. And so they were disappointed. We got back to work. We got after it. The same thing with the Shippensburg game. I thought offensively, we really shared the ball. It was hot. I think in the second half, we want to just outscore our team, our opponent, and not get stops. And we got back to the drawing board the last 2 days about like we got to sustain our defense and build on it. And the guys responded. The one thing about this group we have right now is they're very coachable and they work really hard. They get along really well. They challenge each other. They compete and practice against each other. We just got to get armor. We got to build our armor.
We have time for one more. We'll go Nate.
Mike, when you talk about a young team, I think there's lots of things that are obvious that we can all probably wrap our heads around. Are there less obvious ways that it manifests itself? Like, are there things that a casual observer would not notice that manifests itself as a young team?
Yeah, well, as a casual fan, you say, how does he not know how to make that play? Well, in the moment of it, you're a freshman or you're a young guy, and everything is new, and everything is new, right? In that moment, he might not get that, but he's got to learn it through that experience, Nate. Now, as the casual fan, or even the coach that wants it right now, there's a process to this. Now, it's not an excuse because if you're out there, you got to make the right play at the right time to help your team win. But I always say to our guys, it's understandable, right? Like, but it's not okay. Like, I understand you didn't make that play there because you didn't see it. Now we're gonna show it to you again. We're gonna review it. We're gonna go over it. We're gonna coach you through it. Now you got to start making that play. Well, that comes with time. Uh, some guys see the ball screen reads like Caden and Millie because they're as freshmen, and some other guys aren't going to get it until they're sophomores, maybe not until they're juniors. Our job is to push that forward. Now, when you throw them out there in the fire, Nate, we all want them to make that play right now, but might not see it. So it's understandable, but we still got to hold them to a high standard and teach them how to make it. And let's try to make it sooner than later. So I think that's the biggest thing, right? I think that's the biggest thing. That's the part where we all want to win. All us Penn State fans, when we put the uniform on, we want our teams to win. Damn right, we're going to win. But there's also, there's a learning process to all this, and there's growth to this, and we have to keep growing no matter win, lose, or draw. Good practice, bad practice. We got to grow from all of that. That's the part the casual fan doesn't see. That's fine. That's why they're fans, right? But for me as a coach, like every situation, every opportunity, we got to keep teaching these guys so they do get it, and that's just who we become.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
All
We'll
right,
see
guys,
everyone
appreciate
Monday.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Mike.